Hey knitters, welcome to episode 179 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me at KnittyMcPurly.com. I'm Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome to the podcast, folks. I am a day early, you might notice. I found that Sundays got a little crowded with the podcast, and I just decided to move them to Saturdays for a while. We'll see. Some weekends it'll work, some it won't, but either way, it'll be up by Sunday afternoon. Either way. I am drinking coffee out of my New Jersey cup. Thank you so much, Pam, for this wonderful New Jersey cup. We got the Delaware River in there. There's a lot of saltwater taffy and bridges and the turnpike. My husband, his whole family is from New Jersey. And he picked up this cup and he said, "Where are the diners?" He's like, "How can you have a New Jersey mug without diners?" Like, I think that was like his childhood. He just remembers a lot of diners. So anyway, but it's a great mug. Thank you so much, Pam. I love it. Love, love, love it. Happy Memorial Day weekend, folks. We're remembering all of those fallen heroes who died to protect our freedom as free Americans. So we remember them this weekend. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I am wearing a sweater that's actually, it's a little wrinkled. I'm sorry, I didn't get the steamer out. I don't own a steamer. I didn't hang it up in, the bathroom while someone was showering. So it's a little bit wrinkled from the drawer because it's been in there for a while. This is not a pattern. I just cast on some number of stitches and started to do raglan shaping, and around here I did increases to puff the sleeves. I made this a couple years ago during one of my knitting pattern lulls where I just didn't have, I don't know. And this is yarn from Kim Dye's Yarn. It's a really beautiful kind of pastel color. But I just knit this when I needed something to mindlessly knit and I didn't have a pattern. I just kind of made it. And it's funny because I love this top. It's just perfect. It sat as a languishing whip for a long time. And then, I just finished it up in like a week. You know how that goes? I think we talked a little bit about that last week. Some of you have a lot of whips, works in progress, in case you didn't know. Sometimes we use the lingo and we forget that some people are new. So whips are works in progress. Many of you have lots of them. And I get it. I talked about my whips languishing and otherwise last week. I have a couple of them, but I think it would stress me out to have too many. But that said, I do have like other projects that are unfinished. So, that happens. But anyway, I really like this top. It's a favorite. So let's get into progress and shop news. Okay. A week from today, Saturday, June 1st, Advent calendars will go on sale at noon. So if you want one, log in and get one. I will have newsletters going out. It's a big couple of weeks for me. We've got Gigi's confirmation and Alexis's graduation, and it's a lot of stuff. But I will also have this going on, and those will go up next week at noon if you want to grab one. And like I said, in the newsletter, there will be all of the reminders that you need. The theme is Creator of the Universe, and it is going to be a fade based on pictures from the Hubble telescope, because God created all of this stuff, and it's amazing. And it's kind of amazing that we get to look at it. Like, the space telescopes are really awesome. The fade will go from dark to light because Jesus is the light of the world, and December 25th is his birthday. So from December 1st to December 25th, there will be a 20-gram mini skein for each day. So 25 20-gram minis, which is 500 grams of yarn. It's a lot of yarn in Frankfurt fingering weight. And that's enough for a sweater or a shawl or several pairs of socks. They're going to be $150. And it will come with a pattern from Knitty McPurly, an existing pattern that would work well with the calendar. You can pick the one that you want. So it'll be a free download that comes with the calendar if you want to do that, but you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. If you're a person who prefers to knit with a heavier weight of yarn, you could always hold it with something else. That would be kind of awesome. Like if you had something thicker or even just another fingering weight that you held together, if it was the same, like let's say you picked a white or a black, whatever, or any color, and you held it together through the fade, that would be awesome. And then you could have a DK or a worsted weight by holding strands together. If you do order the advent calendar and you want to order other things, please order them separately, because that way the orders can be fulfilled in the appropriate amount of time. Because if you order the advent calendar and then you order a whole bunch of other stuff with it, your other stuff is going to ship with your advent calendar, in a couple of months, in November when those ship out. So you probably want that sooner. So order the stuff that you want now in a separate order, please. Thank you. Also, next Saturday, June 1st, June's color of the month will be available. I did not bring it up, so it will continue to be a surprise. June's color of the month will be available. Also, that week, it might not be June 1st, but at some point during that week, I will have the new summer balm called The Porch, and it's geranium and lavender and lemongrass and just a hint of clove. All of these things that bugs don't really like. So that was my thinking behind summer balms. I have been using my lemon eucalyptus on the porch, and it's really nice. I just stick it on your hands and I'll put it on my arm. And if you get, the little chunks, you just go like that and they're gone and they all rub in. And I've even been putting this on my legs and my ankles. Now, I've been paying attention, like how effectively is this, it smells so good. How effectively is this keeping the mosquitoes away? And I found that I did get a few mosquito bites, but only where I didn't put the balm. So pay attention to putting it on your ankles. Mosquitoes love ankles and feet. So put the balm on there, and I think it will protect you from mosquitoes. I'm not promising anything. It's my first time making this balm, but so far things look good. I just missed a few places and like my ankles got bitten up because I didn't put any balm there. Also, dogs love it. Whenever I put it on, my dog's like, and I got a message from Lana. Hi, Lana. She's like, I love this balm. It smells so good. My dogs also love it. They just start licking me. Who knew? Dogs love lemon and eucalyptus, apparently. So it's a dog attractor, bug repeller. That's good, right? It's a good thing. Okay. So, I didn't show stuff. I still have May's color of the month available, and this will be available until they sell out. I don't know how many are left, but a good number. So if you want to get some of May's color of the month, either in DK or fingering weight, or as the sock set with the extra 20-gram mini, you can go get that now, and I will have those as long as they are in stock. Also, the spring sock kits. I'm waiting to see some of the socks made with these kits pop up online. I know people buy yarn and you put it in your stash for when you want to make the socks. But if anybody is making socks imminently, tag me in your post so I can see it, or send me a picture. I do get pictures from you guys pretty often. I got this beautiful picture of this adorable little darling in her wee faucette. Oh my gosh, the wee faucettes. First of all, faucette is such a fun pattern. It doesn't use a lot of yarn. It's DK weight, so it goes really fast. And if you are making a wee faucette, it just flies off the needles, and it is so fun. And look at this adorable little girl. Oh my gosh, with her little shoes. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, I finished Dean's sweater. Did I tell you they were going to call him Dean? I think I did. Oh, isn't it adorable? It's so cute. It is finished and blocked. The only thing I still need to do is for this size, there's a button around, just to get their little heads through the hole. The pattern designer put a button here. So I just need to sew that button on. I have a cool like wooden button. That's the back. Is it the back? I need to no, this is the back. Yeah. Oh, it's so cute. I can't wait to give it to him. Maggie came over yesterday and I had to hide it because I didn't want her to see it just yet. But I'm so happy with it. It was so fun to make. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm gonna turn the fan on because I'm too hot. It kind of makes a noise, but otherwise I'll be sitting in a puddle of sweat. After I put down Dean's sweater and I picked up my summer vibe top again, I was on fire. So I got a lot of that done. I'm in the middle of a row, but I've already started the second iteration of color. So you go back to the yellow. So there's 8 stripes of color and I'm back at the yellow. I actually at one point this week thought I might finish it for this week's podcast. I didn't because I ran out of steam on it. I don't know what it is. Whether it's, you know, the really fine, thin yarn, or if it's the lace pattern, the constant lace, like it's you never get a break from the lace, but I kind of burn out on it. But then when I pick it up again, I'm like, yes, and just so on fire to work on it. So that's how I got this far. And then this happened. So I have a friend and her son was getting married, I want to say maybe 2 years ago. And right before the wedding, like 3 months before the wedding, she finds out that she has breast cancer. And she's like 22 or something, right? Too young to have cancer. And she was talking to me about it, of course, because I had breast cancer. And I was telling her, you know, it ruined my fertility, which was fine because I had 4 kids and was 42. But when you're 22 and about to get married, you don't really want to lose that. So, you know, they were just distraught, beside themselves about this, not sure what to do, even whether they should treat it, because that might mean that she could never have kids. But they did, they treated it. She had the surgery and the chemo. Like as soon as their wedding was over, they didn't even go on a honeymoon. She went straight to chemo. It was terrible. And I've never met her. I know her husband, my friend's son. I know who he is, but like, I don't really know them. I just know about it through my friend. And she just told me that she is expecting the wife, whose name I don't even remember. But after all that, and 2 years later, like after the chemo, she had to go on this other, it was like the menopause medicine. I don't even remember what it is. I took it for a little while and I don't take that anymore because it made my whole body hurt. But anyway, she went off that, had 1 cycle and conceived. So I'm so happy for them that they're having a baby that I immediately went to Etsy to find a pattern to make for them. They don't know if they're having a boy or a girl because she's not that far along. She's 3 or 4 months. And they don't even plan to find out. So I picked this baby blanket. Isn't it so cute and neutral? I just love it. I'm going to talk more about this designer in my Knitting Fantasies. She's a designer from Lithuania and has a lot of baby blankets. It calls for Aran weight yarn. And I wanted to use Knitty McPurly yarn. It doesn't take that much. It's like maybe 4 or 5 skeins for a baby blanket. Like it's just not that big. And so I was going to use Amsterdam Aran, but that is a cashmere. It's an MCN, merino cashmere nylon. And I thought, it's a bit much for a baby blanket for people that I don't know. I wanted to choose something a little more sturdy and hard wearing so that if it gets thrown in the wash a couple of times, it is not a big deal. So I chose Warsaw worsted in the pewter colorway, which is a very light, warm gray. It's a gray, but it leans warm. And I didn't get very far, but it's delightful. Again, I am able to switch between, I haven't started the cables yet, but I've got the setup. I'm able to switch between the worsted and the fingering. And that's kind of the vibe that I'm feeling right now, where you work on a worsted weight project for a little while and it feels so good to work with that big yarn, but then you're itching to work with the more colorful fingering weight yarn. So it's kind of nice. I really like that go between. But it's only like 128 stitches cast on. Like it's not a huge blanket, which is really nice. Considering I don't even know Ellen, I think her name is Ellen, and Jack. There, I do know her name. So anyway, their baby is due December 8th, which is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception and Charlotte's birthday. So I'm just so excited for them. And it's so great because you just don't know. You just don't know. It's a very, very happy thing. So I cast that on pretty immediately. Okay, moving right along to crocheting with Gigi. We have not actually filmed this yet, so I can't get excited about it, but I'm sure we have a great time. Anyway, here it is. Start it because that's always fun.
All right. I look kind of massive, you know?
No, you don't look massive. No. You look beautiful.
Oh, stop.
Welcome to Crocheting with Gigi.
Yay! Okay, so a lady named Kimberly sent this adorable dinosaur set.
It's from the Woo Bowls. Learn
What's
it,
a
make
Woo
it
Bowl?
level. It's the company that makes these adorable kits.
And it's just like a big pack of dinosaur that I get to make.
Gosh, it's so cute. Thank you so much, Kimberly. That was so nice.
Maggie's baby is gonna get a dinosaur.
And look, the dinosaur's crocheting.
Oh, he's crocheting. I didn't even see that.
So cute.
Aww.
Adorable. That's going to be fun to make.
Awesome.
How is the Ferrari jacket coming?
Okay, so I finished the back and I'm on the something front. It says left front, but by the way I'm making it, it looks like it's going to end up being the right front.
Whatever.
So this is the back of it. Can you
So this is a Debbie Bliss pattern and it's a raglan shaping and it is knit in pieces.
We're gonna write Ferrari over the front in like yarn because right now it kind of looks like the Egyptian flag, you know, with like the gold eagle right in the middle.
How do you know what the Egyptian flag looks like? You're just super smart? You're wicked smart?
What accent's that?
Boston? Have you not seen that movie?
No.
Oh, we gotta watch
movie?
that. Good Will Hunting.
Never seen it.
What?
Anyway.
It's probably just barely appropriate for you anyway. I find that I don't remember the inappropriate parts of movies. I'm like, oh gosh, guys, we gotta watch this. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't remember that part.
That happens a lot.
It happens a lot, actually.
Okay, so this one, I need help holding this up. It's supposed to be the left front, but it looks a lot like a right front.
No,
because
this is your left. So it's the left if you're
but
wearing
look,
it.
It's gonna go like this.
Right. See the line? Look. This is like if the baby's wearing it, this is his left. In patterns usually.
Oh, it's not my left.
Not your left. Like
the
if
patient left to right, like doctors.
Right. Yeah. So that's great. You've gotten really far.
I know.
I don't know what size it's gonna be.
I don't either. It'll fit him at some point.
At some point. Yeah.
I was talking to Maggie. I was like, I'm sorry if this doesn't fit your baby aesthetic. She was like, she was going for like the kind of almost neutral, but like gentle baby. And I'm like, Ferrari. So she's gonna be like, oh, it's so interesting.
Do you think she'll like this one?
She'll love that. This is the baby aesthetic she's going for.
Okay.
Where it's like
old man sweater.
Old man sweater. A little train conductor hat.
He needs a hat to go with this for sure.
Yeah.
Like an old man hat, you know, with the snap.
Train conductor hat.
Train conductor's poofier, isn't it?
I don't think so.
I mean the one it's like the new, I don't know.
It's like a baseball hat, but there's no structure. It's just like floppy. That's train conductor hat.
I always think of the stripes with the train conductor hat, but I'm talking about the old man hat with the snap. It's got a brim.
Yeah, that's a train. Yeah, that's a train conductor hat. Yeah.
All right, I need to see all the hats. I don't know.
I don't know. We can put up the picture of the hat I'm talking about if she can find what it is.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Great job, Gigi.
Oh, thanks.
All right, beat it.
All right. Bye.
See ya. All right, the comments section. The comments is my favorite part because you guys are just so great. JANAL48 said, while watching your podcast, I'm sitting on my front porch knitting in Northeast Alabama. The weather is beautiful and the temperature is perfect for being outside. I understand you wanting to knit outside. It's so relaxing and I can see the stitches so much better since I'm working with dark yarn. I look forward to your podcast every week. Thank you for your wonderful smile and positive attitude. Thank you so much for your wonderful comment. I do love porch knitting. I got a lot of it in this week, more than usual, because my homeschoolers are done, my graduate is done, and my middle schooler just has finals left. So I had more time this week, and that was really, really nice. Got some porch knitting in. It's a little humid. We get humidity here in Virginia. I imagine you get it in Alabama too, but it is really, really nice. Kate Oates Design, oh man, said, thank you so much for your kind words about my work. I'll have to figure out how to adjust my website so that the yarn weight shows up earlier. Templates are hard. And thank you to my dear friend Janie for mentioning me to you. How nice! Kate watched my podcast. I feel like the queen. I do, like she's knitting royalty, right? She's like kind of a big deal. So I really, really appreciate Kate watching my podcast. Hi, Kate. Her patterns are wonderful. She's delightful. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Selfish Knitter said, the Lovebirds sweater by Kate Oates that we highlighted last week is on my list to knit this year. I saw a gorgeous sample at Elgin Knitworks last summer during the Chicago yarn crawl. The colors were not just speaking to me, they were screaming my name. Maybe this will be my next cast on. Kate Oates has also been doing a knit bingo event in spring where you buy a bingo card to collect patterns and win prizes. It's an interesting idea. That is a cool idea. I don't really understand, but that's all I know about it is what Selfish Knitter has just said. But it sounds really interesting. I get that, where things don't just speak to you, they scream your name. That's how I was with this. It's just so awesome that I have to have it right now. Totally get it. Deb Signa says, thanks for my order. I'm in the midst of knitting a temperature blanket with colors I chose before I started. I have colors in 5-degree intervals and I record the temperature at 9 a.m. each day. So that makes sense to have a color per, 5-degree intervals. That makes sense. I would love to see one of these. I guess I could just Google it. Deb says, I'm almost finished with my summer vibe tee and I redesigned it to be knit in the round. Thanks for the inspo. That's a great idea, Deb. I totally should have done that. I don't know why I didn't. I really could have, because it's top down. So you really could, once you get to the underarms, you could just join it and knit in the round if you wanted to. That's a great idea. Professor Pearl says, porch knitting is the best. I totally agree. I actually record my knitting episodes on my porch because I love it so much. Also, I love your 4-color design. I've never knit so many colors at once, but wow. She's talking about that sweater I showed last week with the rainbows. I know, I agree. I love that sweater. I drew it out. And as an artist, artists find that a lot of things can be drawn that cannot be knit or not knit easily. And this was one of those. Yeah, it can be knit, but it's just so much of a pain. Anyway. Catherine Denny says, we are heading into winter here, and this week it's been cold and wet, so I just want to curl up inside and knit all day. I finished a long cardigan last night, and while it needs a block, I'm wearing it today. It's warm and cozy. The Southern Hemisphere, which Catherine, I believe, is from Australia, I think. And the Southern Hemisphere is heading into winter. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. It's so bizarre how that works. Okay. Topic of the week. When I was on YouTube today, going through to look for your comments, I saw a video about controversial knitting opinions. And I found that there are many of these. People have done tons and tons of videos and articles about controversial knitting opinions. And I thought, what's a controversial knitting opinion? I mean, color dominance does not exist is obviously one. And we debunked that myth that it's based on your tension. If you are tensioning the yarns differently, then there will be color dominance. But if your tension is equal, then there won't be. It's not about where, you can't say, oh, if you hold them like this, you'll get this, because it's person dependent. So we debunked that one. I found an article on Modern Daily Knitting, formerly Mason-Dixon Knitting, and it was where I think they put it on Instagram. They put a poll out saying, tell me your unpopular crafting opinions and deep, dark crafting secrets. And I thought we would just go through a couple of these. If I were going to admit one, it would be that sometimes if it's color work or if I have a lot of ends to weave in, sometimes I just tie them in a knot. Sometimes I just tie them in a knot and just snip the ends. Sometimes I'll tie them in, especially if I'm gifting it. And I did this on this sweater a little bit, where I would tie them in a knot and then weave in those ends just to make it a little sturdier since it's not going to be mine. But hats, colorwork hats, I just tie them in a knot. Who cares? Why do we have to be such purists? I don't know. So here are some of the ones that came up on the Modern Daily Knitting poll. Swatching is for suckers, which I get, depends on what you're making. Depends on what you're making, depends on how familiar you are with the designer and their attention. It depends on how particular you are about the outcome. Does it have to fit a precise certain way? Sometimes you can swatch and still not get that, as was evidenced by my swatch. These things happen. Someone said, I have about 10 works in progress right now, and I just keep starting new projects. I get it. That's a season of life. Like sometimes that's what you need. Probably you'll go back and finish them all up. You should do that. That's a good thing to do. Closing armpit seams gives me anxiety. I think armpit seams are a little bit anxious because it's hard to do them in a way that is invisible and doesn't create an annoying seam. So I do get that one. This one was interesting. Knitting with the outer strand of the ball is better. I am an outer strand person, but my friend Yvonne is a center pull gal. And I get it. There's benefits to the center pull because your ball doesn't roll around as much. But the problem is you're eating the middle out of the ball, so you end up with this shell that you're going to need to rewind at some point. And this is what the writer of the article, I'll link this article below if you want to read it all, but the writer of the article says, I'm going to be honest, the debate between outer strand versus center pull always felt like the debate between left Twix and right Twix. But I've heard that one creates, excuse me, pollen, an extra twist in the yarn. And then they say they have a post about that, which I didn't click on, but I definitely have found this where I find that, especially if I'm knitting in the round, because you're constantly turning the work the same direction, my yarn, I'll have to pick it up and let it untwist. And maybe that's because I'm pulling it from the outside. Why would that matter? I don't know. There are things that I don't understand. I feel like color dominance is different. Like we can unpack that and we can figure out why that happens. And we did. But things like the twist, and the twist is probably like that too. We can figure that out. My friend Julie from the Knitty Cats podcast sent me a message about fiber frequency. And we've touched on this a little bit on this podcast before. And Julie's take on it is very theological. You know, God created everything. Everything has vibration and frequency. And wool and linen are both high frequency fibers. But the problem with putting them together is that those frequencies cancel each other out. And it sounds a little woo-woo to me. That's how I feel about it. But I also understand that there are some things I just don't get. And maybe that's one of them. So if that resonates with you, fun, fiber pun, if that resonates with you, then by all means, learn about it, absorb it, think about it, make your choices about it. I wear synthetic fibers all the time. And I'm not a person who really notices nuance. So I don't notice the difference between if I'm wearing wool versus polyester. It's supposed to make you feel better or something. I don't know. But other people, and probably people who detect nuance a little better than me, do notice a difference. So my kids are always asking me questions about like water towers and dams, and I don't get either of those things either. I understand that the water's up high to create the pressure. How does it get in there? Where does it come from? I don't know. How does the dam turn the flow of water? Like I get that it turns a turbine. How does that become electricity that you can move from here to there? I don't know. Anyway, get back to our controversial knitting opinions. When making things for myself, I don't actually count stitches and rows. I get that too. I'm less particular. Like this thing that I just kind of made. I mean, you know, once you've made enough raglan tops, it's not that hard to just pop one out. But, you know, sometimes you just wing it. This person says, I don't know how to block, so I don't. And then the response was, you need to learn how to block so that then you can choose to not block out of laziness. I just thought that was so funny. This person said, weaving in ends is long. I knot them heifers and keep it moving. Yes, me too. If I make it for myself and it doesn't fit, I gift it and pretend like I made it for them. Oh, come on. We've all done that. We've all done that. Or if you make it and it's just wrong in some way that you know, but that no one else would ever notice, especially a non-knitter, you're like, look what I made you. And they're like, oh gosh. And this person says, the hot glue gun is my first love. And I feel like that's not knitting related. I don't think you can hot glue knitting. Can you hot glue knitting? Have you ever used a hot glue gun on your knitting? You could if it was like a craft project, right? Like if you're gluing pom-poms, or you know those wreaths where it's balls of yarn, that you could use the hot glue gun for. But you definitely wouldn't want to use it on a sweater. Anyway, that article goes on. Please feel free to share with me some of your more controversial or unpopular knitting opinions. If you put in unpopular knitting opinions into YouTube, just a host of videos will come up. 20 of them, probably more. So that's always fun. If you like podcasts and interesting knitting videos, there are more and more. All right, moving on to knitting fantasies. So this is a pattern designer called Beloved Pattern, and I will link all these below. She doesn't really name the patterns. They're more just named by their attributes. But if you go onto her Etsy, she doesn't have a million. There's maybe 20 or 25 patterns on there, so it'd be easy to look through. They're almost all baby blankets, and they're just great. Like, I just love them. So the first one is the one that I showed you, and she's called it Blanket Cables here on the pattern. All of her patterns are about $6. So there's this cable one, which I just love. It's cable-y, but it's got this center panel that has less cabling. I just think that's so creative and interesting, and it makes the blanket really interesting. Also, she's working with a thicker yarn and a smaller needle. Calls for a US 6, and even though I went down to a worsted weight, I stuck with the US 6 because I think that's just fine. I'm happy with the way my pattern is working up. It's not quite as tight as hers looks to be, but I think it's fine. And you don't want it to be like seatbelt material. You know what I mean? Like, you want that fabric to have a little bit of drape and comfort because it's going to go on a baby. So I'm just going to put up pictures of a couple of her patterns. This one with the squares that are kind of divided in half. They just look really cute. This one with kind of rhombuses in a tessellation type of look. And I love that the color, it's beautiful. Yellow is a great color for babies. She uses a lot of neutrals and gender neutral colors, which is nice if you're not going to find out if it's a boy or a girl until the baby is born, because they need their blankets right away. And then this brownish one with these kind of ovals on it, they're just all really pretty. If you're in the market for a baby blanket, I highly recommend this designer, and I can recommend them because I'm working on one of her patterns. It's very well written, very easy to follow. It's, you know, she says things like, continue with 6 garter stitches each side. And what she means is knit 6 rows in garter stitch for a total of 3 ridges. So, you know, if you're a brand new knitter, you might want to start with a different pattern designer. This one maybe is better for you if, you know, you can kind of read between the lines, because I read that and I'm going, okay, 6 ridges or 3 ridges? And I just looked at the picture and there's 3 ridges. So what she means is 6 garter rows. Maybe they weren't test knit, I don't know. That's the kind of thing I think a test knitter would pick out if they're not that experienced. I love inexperienced test knitters because they see everything. Whereas the more experienced ones, you know, your brain fills it in. Your brain's like, oh, I know what that means, even though it's not worded for somebody who's a beginner. So Anyway, wonderful designer. She is over on Etsy. Okay, so here's what happened. Today's story is a sad story, and some stories are sad. It's just kind of a terrible story, and it's hard to read it, and it's hard to say it out loud. This is from Jamie, a podcast watcher named Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for sharing this story with us. Some stories are sad. So Jamie said, I really want to tell you a wonderful story, but that is not the one that I have for you. My grandmother was verbally and physically abusive toward me as a child. It happened up until I was in high school, and then I was bigger than her so that she could no longer physically force me around. To say that our relationship was difficult doesn't really tell the whole truth. Even as an adult, Grandma and I yelled, argued, and downright hated being in the same house. So why were we in the same house? Because my mother couldn't take care of both of us at the same time if we were in different locations. No matter how bad it got, Mom always backed me up and told Grandma that 1, my yarn stayed, and 2, if I went, she was going with me, and Grandma was never going to let Mom leave. I knit and crochet. Grandma hated knitting and crocheting. Why? What's wrong with Grandma? Come on, Grandma. Mom also loves to crochet. So Jamie's saying Jamie got to teach Mom because the grandmas were not allowed to teach her, but the surviving one taught Jamie as a child. So everybody had to kind of subvert Grandma to teach each other to knit and crochet. Grandma hated our joy, but did enjoy from time to time some of the things we made. Grandma passed in September of 2023. It was a freeing moment for me, a devastating moment for Mom. As a nurse, she felt that she had failed Grandma. Grandma was 87 years old and demanded to have a surgery that she knew she might die from. She did pass from the complications. Mom couldn't have changed Grandma's mind any more than anyone else, and Grandma got what she wanted. She is out of pain. She is with Papa, literally. The double urn is still in the dining room, LOL. She is with her son who died as a child. I had made several sets of socks for myself and Grandma. God bless you, Jamie. You made her socks. God bless you. I only made one set for Mom because she didn't wear them. Fast forward to after Grandma passed, all the hand knit socks that Grandma and I were not wearing disappeared. Mom started wearing them, even the ones that are too big. She loves the hand knit socks. Now that Grandma and her negative comments are gone, she loves wearing the socks. I had a different plan for this year, Jamie says, but life is never up to us. The week Mom goes up to bury Papa and Grandma is the week I go into palliative care as a patient. It is going to be a heck of a week for her. So I have decided she's getting socks every holiday this year, and that week she will get 7 new pairs of socks. She deserves to be loved, put first, respected, and cherished. With my body slowly failing, this is the best way I can do that for Mom. The year of socks has begun. I hope you and your viewers find the love and purpose that fits for your life. Wow. This is a lot of love that has gone toward a really difficult person, Grandma. And Jamie has such love for her mom, and she recognizes that this is going to be hard for her. So what did she say? Every holiday she's getting socks, and that week that she has to bury her parents and put her daughter into palliative care, she's going to have a new pair of socks for every day of the week. Oh my gosh. God bless you, Jamie. That is just, wow, quite a story. If you ever have a picture of all of these socks, we would love to see them. And I'm so sorry you have to go into palliative care. My prayers are with you and your family. So if you have a knitting story you would like to share with us, please send it to me, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. We have all sorts of stories here. We've got the happy ones, we got the sad ones, we got the funny ones, the ridiculous ones, the ones where you have to rip back 7 hours of work on lace weight yarn in a lace pattern. We have those. So send it to me. I would love to share it on the podcast. I have a couple more, but I'm going to run out quick because it's a weekly podcast. So send them to me. All right, guys, happy Memorial Day weekend. God bless you all, and I will see you next week. Bye, knitters.